Welcome back to the topic of legal framework and permitting processes. So there are actually no EU-wide specific directives or regulations that focus only on geothermal heat pumps. Hence, there are many different regulations that are relevant and sometimes even multiple ones within one country. In general, one can say that in well-established markets, we see more regulation compared to the emerging markets. But some directives partly cover geothermal heat pumps and drillings or also buildings and therefore affect the use of geothermal heat pumps. Let's look at them. Here we have the Renewable Energy Directives, RED 2 and 3. They set binding targets to increase the share of renewables in the EU's energy mix, including heating and cooling. Shallow geothermal energy is explicitly promoted as a sustainable energy source, especially for the heating networks. And RED 3 requires the member states to identify and designate renewable acceleration areas. They are often referred to as go-to areas where renewable energy application is prioritized. The Energy Efficiency Directive, the EED, sets mandatory energy efficiency targets and requires the member states to increase energy savings. The European Performance of Buildings Directive, the EPBD, focuses on improving energy efficiency in buildings and increasing the use of renewable energy for heating and cooling. And geothermal heat pumps are actually highlighted as a key technology here. There is also policy support for the use of geothermal heat pumps. The most important strategies are the Repower EU plan, launched to end dependency on Russian fossil fuels and to accelerate clean energy transition. It included amendments to the RED and the EED. Then we have the Green Deal, that sets the EU's overarching vision to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. And currently in development are the EU Heat Pump Action Plan and the EU Geothermal Energy Strategy. The latter was requested in late 2024. So the current directives support the application of geothermal heat pumps to a certain degree. However, as mentioned before, the current frameworks in the EU are very fragmented, and former projects have already proposed a harmonized EU framework that would be essential to ensure equal market conditions and legal clarity across the member states, to simplify permitting and reduce delays through a tiered risk-based procedure, to protect groundwater and the environment through uniform safety and monitoring standards, and to accelerate the application of geothermal heat pumps. Such a harmonized EU regulation could address the following key areas: a harmonized definition and system classification that could standardize the terminology across the member states to define, for example, what actually is shallow geothermal energy. The tiered permitting framework would mean that small residential installations would benefit from a simplified or notification-only procedure, whereas large projects would undergo full environmental assessment. Then we have unified technical and safety standards that could include minimum distances from wells, buildings, and other infrastructure, and standardized procedures for drilling and backfilling, as well as clear requirements for the safe decommissioning of the boreholes. Then we have the point of digitalization and one-stop shop systems, which would reduce administrative burdens by a digitalized process with online portals that would enable the application submission, status tracking, and access to regulatory information. Last point to be mentioned are the benefits of an installation registry and monitoring. Such a national or EU-wide register of the installations could be established, and monitoring could then be mandatory for the geothermal heat pumps, particularly with regard to groundwater quality and thermal impacts. Larger systems could also be equipped, for example, with smart meters to track performance and ensure compliance. That was that. Moving on for specifics of the different geothermal heat pumps in the next part.